I think we're live.
Almost. There, now we are. Yes, good evening. The Design Review Board number 1 public meeting of April 5th, 2005 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available by calling our Design Review Board hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that all appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the Design Review Board decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his discretion. Roll call, Board Member Ellis.
Present.
Board Member Insua.
Here.
Board Member Palmer. Here. Board Member Simonian is absent, and Board Member Yu.
Here.
Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on March 29th, 2012. Oral communications. Discussion limited to items not a part of this agenda. I have no oral communication
I have
cards.
none either. Anybody?
Ellis?
Nobody seems to? Okay.
All right, and this brings us to staff announcements. I'm not aware of any staff announcements at this point in time, so I'd like to turn the meeting over to Chairman Ellis for the 3 items on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. I'd like to reorder our agenda and start with Case B, which is PDR 2011-053A, 342 Riverdale Drive. Work for you folks?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need a motion, or are we okay with the
No, you can just go ahead and...
consensus? Okay, great. All right. Mr. Reza.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Design Review Board. The next case item is 1-PDR-2011-053, project located at 342 Riverdale Drive. The applicant is Alan Malikian and Associates. This is a first-time submittal for final review. The applicant was granted a density bonus, case number PDEN 2011-001 on March 9th, 2012, to allow the construction of four affordable housing units for a total of 9 units on the lot. And I will I'll go to the board to describe the project, how this was put together. Around July of last year, this site received multiple building permits for the 5-unit building in the front. During construction, there was an existing duplex also located at the rear. During construction, this duplex was demolished, and as a result, a density bonus was filed to compensate the lost duplex. The applicant applied for a density bonus, was granted just this past March to receive 4 low-income housing units. Actually, the breakdown is 2 low-income housing and 2 very low-income housing units. The project is situated at the rear and will provide 5 on-grade parking spaces, as well as a standalone laundry facility, trash enclosure, and recycling center. Elevations that are displayed here mimic the existing design of the multifamily building at the rear, at the front of the property, and that gives the overall sense of how this project came together. As far as for the architectural style and detailing, staff recommends approval of this project with one condition, that external grids be provided for all the proposed windows, that it's consistent with the main residence, which has external grids. Overall location of the building and garage access are consistent with the existing development and project area. Overall, the mass is appropriate and is complementary in its relation to the existing building on the site, and the architecture is consistent with the existing craftsman style on the lot. That pretty much concludes my presentation for this project. The applicant is in the audience for any further questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay. Board members?
I have one question for.
Supposed to hear this?
Yes.
I can't hear them. You don't have to raise your voice a bit. I haven't had one word you said.
Okay.
All right.
I can do it again.
Well, that's the ladies and gentlemen. I'd like them to one.
All right, you know what? Speak up for us now.
You're
Okay.
doing it.
All right, sir, thank you. We'll try to get a little louder for you.
Good.
Okay. All right. Guys have any questions?
Nope.
Nope. No? I have one for you, Mr. Riza.
Yes, Mr. Ellis.
Site walls or lot walls, or is there any planning for any fencing or anything else? I noticed there's one, but they may be existing fences already. Do you know if
As
there's
of
any
this
plan?
moment, no. There aren't any proposed fencing. I know currently the homeowners have pulled a permit for an existing fence that's located approximately right at the front of the house, but not along the sides at this
Okay.
moment.
Thank you. All right. I don't actually have a card, but I have an applicant. Did it come over there? That's okay. Oh, there you go. I do have a card.
Yes.
Please state your name, Mr. Malikian.
My name is Alan Malikian. My office is located at 2255 Honolulu, Montrose 91020, and I'm the designer of the project. Before I jump into explaining a little bit more, and Gabriel did a fairly comprehensive explanation of the project. As far as the fencing, there are existing walls around there. On the east side, there's an existing multifamily house there that the deck itself, it's higher than the finished level, so you have a higher retaining wall per se. You can imagine on the east side. On the west side, there are existing CMU walls, and there's a wall in the back. So it just didn't make any sense to put another set of walls in front of already existing walls there. As Gabriel explained, they came across a lot of issues once they started remodeling the back to an existing non-conforming units that they had originally permitted. When they started demolishing some of the walls, and they came across the foundation and so forth, so they basically lost all the rights there. Going back and forth, we came up with the solution of having the low-income housing there. Originally, the project didn't even have any parking. So with this, we ended up adding 5 parking spaces on lot. The gate that Gabriel was explaining was a security gate that they pulled a permit on, and so they're going to have that. Also, they had no trash enclosures where we were putting a trash enclosure, and also there are no commonly used laundry facilities, which we're proposing on that as well. As far as the design of the project, a lot of the details and elements have been taken from the front unit to kind of keep in consistent architecture of the front. It has some potential historic values, so we didn't want to get into adding very modern or any other type of architecture, and we thought that it would be complementary to the front unit. Also, the construction cost is a very big issue, being that low-income housing, the numbers need to kind of pencil in. Y'all have a little porch, and the units are very comparable in size in relation to the units that they are going to be in the front, the market rate versus the rentable, the low-income rates. They're all similar as far as the units. They're basically 4 similar units. And they have ample amount of landscaping all around. The setbacks are substantially greater than what they could have been. Also, they have a common playground in the back that they have before they didn't, now they do. And hopefully they can utilize that a little bit better. So other than that, I'm here to answer any other questions if you have.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Ms. Palmer?
One of the plans.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Before you get into the landscape, I just brought in an alternate landscape plan. The 2 trees that we're proposing in the front what we're proposing now is we're not going to plant those. So the two large trees that are in the front, two reasons that I came across. First of all, the front unit, there's already a very large street tree in the front of the property. So planting two additional trees in front of the, potentially a historic, caliber building structure, I didn't think it makes sense. So I proposed to remove that. So I met with the landscape architect, their landscape architect, and so I convinced him to remove them, and so he did.
My question was not landscaping.
Okay, all right, okay. So, but thanks for reminding me.
I was going to ask that anyway. One of the plans calls for, and it says it's an existing driveway to remain, and the other plan calls for a paver driveway.
Okay, the existing driveway right now will remain, and there is an existing driveway that goes up right about the same line as the building line, existing building line, and then the rest of it is pretty much dirt, unless they've done something within the time period that I haven't
Not on
seen.
Sunday, it was dirt.
Yeah, so things move on that property faster than I can drive down from Montrose down to there. But from last that I know, nothing was developed in the back, and essentially in the back area will be developed or paved. So the front part of anything building on towards the street, it's an existing pavement.
Are they going to have bins for this trash area, or?
The trash recycle and the trash bin location, it's designed per City of Glendale so they can locate a bin there. And so they can actually put a bin, roll it out, bring it around, and then take it out. And so that would be the trash company's responsibility.
I'm sorry.
Because my question is, the bin's facing to the wall, and trying to take a bin out, move around, and go back in.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot I can do to make this a lot more accessible. Right now, there was a lot more parking spaces there that before, and a lot of different requirements came about. One option I had at one point that I had actually the trash being against the property line and then opening up towards east. Well, what that did was I put a structure within the setback. So if I wanted to do that, then I had to apply for an additional incentive through the affordable housing, and I by doing the 2 and the 2, we only got, I think, 4, if I'm not mistaken. That and we already used up all of our 4, and then so we had to go through a variance. So just for the trash area, it's more of a inconvenience for them to use it. At the end of the day, they didn't have one. Now they do have it, and they just have to.
Required to have bins, or can you family, or can you have?
That's a good question. I mean, they could
Say,
probably
open up
be
the
a
end.
smaller, and then they can have those rollaways. We can also, rather than have it open up, we can put maybe a door on the side. But again, code says you need to have, I believe, 2 30-inch doors with a 5-foot access in front of that. So if planning allows, we can close that off and then open up on the south side and then have maybe a single door that come in.
Something to look at.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, and I agree with you, but, we're trying to meet whatever we can.
That's all the questions I have.
Just have a quick one. So the backyards to these units, it's a pathway? There's no backyard to them?
Again, there's another discussion that I had with them. The numbers are so tight on this project
So it needs
because
to
of
be
the
public? part of
I
the
had
public
I had patio doors that would come out and then it would go on the back. The numbers, just putting the window versus the patio door. Window is $150.
$1,000,
Patio doors are $1,500. So again, 4 of them, you're talking about $6,000 versus $600. So again, all of these numbers play a role. I agree. I think it would have been ideal to have some doors there to be able to access the back, but it just everything is down to the pennies in this project. So I would love to put it in. I mean, but again, maybe later on if we find something that we can replace them, maybe that could be a consideration.
No, I'm good.
You know, I have a couple of questions. One, mine was also on the recycle and the trash bin, and from what I just understand, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't go against the property line because it's got to have a setback.
Right.
But if you turn to 180 degrees and put them to the setback, you'd have a lot more space in front of them, and
Right, but
you'd have the
then
5-foot
I'm putting a
setback.
structure within the setback.
Not if it went to the corner of the building. I'm looking here.
No, but I think he has to go to the new.
Doesn't it? Can't you just, you get 2 feet here, you move it all down 2 feet and open the doors the other direction?
No, because that's
I
still.
can't.
The cars, is that the problem?
I can. There's a car there, but I think in front of that,
Big
there's an access path of, I think it's 52 inches or some.
Right.
Some.
My thought, and I
Number.
echo Ms. Palmer, of just, that seems to me to be impacting the neighbors as opposed to sticking on the project. My other question, why I asked about the walls, when I was out on Sunday, I've noticed that they're along the west side of the existing building, they stuck the demand water heaters on the wall. On your plans, are those all going to be internal? Or are they going to be stuck on the outside
We're
also?
not doing anything. I'm not dealing with the front. That's something
Right,
different.
no, I'm just
outside.
kind of wondering, they don't look that attractive, and I'm just kind of, at this point, there's nothing on your plan. I'd like to hear you tell me that the plumbing will be all inside.
Well, there's 480 plus square feet of units, so putting these water heaters in a room that you already have like maybe a 200 square foot of livable space and putting a
Right.
water heater in there, I don't know if they're
Demand ones under a counter, that type of, I mean, I don't know.
I can.
When you go back
try to
out,
see-
you haven't
yeah, I
seen
can-
it.
No,
The side of the building.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't really stuck my head around the side of that, so I don't know. I appreciate that. At least, if we do anything, if it goes outside, I'll make sure that it's planted properly. I don't want to put it on the patio side because that's going to be accessible side. So if I find a room for it inside, if they agree that they take out a little section of the closet, I'll go ahead and put that in there.
I mean, they're not that big, right? A demand
No,
water.
I'm just talking about tankless,
Yeah.
wall-mounted units.
Okay.
So right now they're about yay big.
Yeah.
So they gotten smaller, especially that the units are small.
Okay.
I may be able to convince them. Maybe do being that they're affordable, we may be able to find a larger water heater that is commonly. Just one
One unit
large
for the whole-
that it can go into the washer and dryer area and then just basically feed off and feed all the units, and then they can prorate the utility, because anyways, I believe part of the affordable housing, the utilities are paid or deducted from their rentals. So I think there's some there was some discussion that I had with Peter Zovak in regards to the utilities. So it may come to a point that they may end up paying for the utilities. So if that's the case, then
The
they'll
landlord?
just landlord.
Right.
So I'm not really sure about that, but I will definitely look into that.
The laundry facility, did I miss that on here? Is that marked on here anywhere?
It's on the site plan. It should be on the site plan location. Maybe you have
Where?
Earlier the site plan up above.
Yeah, I'm
Could
just
have
wondering, where would I be finding it?
You may have an older setup,
Okay.
11 by 7. I don't know if we.
Is there am I missing?
I included it.
Everything since yeah. there
Got
you
you.
go.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, everything kind of
last
been
year.
moving in a very fast pace on my end. Their end, owner's end has been
Right.
fairly slow. So
All right. Then I guess this you may not be able to answer either. I didn't realize I looked at this. That takes out that parking space. There's also a chain link fence, I believe, marked on the property line on the north end of the property.
the north end property, right?
And it's not there now, I don't think. There wasn't on Sunday. There wasn't I don't believe, a fence across it. But
As I say, things happen there faster than
Yeah.
me moving from
right.
Montrose to there.
That's marked on the plan.
So if there is a chain link fence marked, then they should put it back as a chain link fence. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, that may be a problem.
So then on the new site plan, the things in the back now is that the condensing unit that you moved from the front to the back? Is that what that is?
I had the condensing unit in the patio and originally, but after staff reviewing it, they decided that rather than use up the
west side.
patio to the west side and move it away from the open or the patio side, so we moved it
So
back.
that's probably where your water heater is going to go anyway.
Yeah, I would.
It's no big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
hang it on the wall.
Oh, and just as a note, that chain link fence that's shown on the site plan would not be able to be replaced because it's on the property. It's shown on the plans as being on the front property
It's-
line.
yes.
And
Not the front.
Yes, on the north side of the property.
Oh, north side, yeah, no.
Right,
The
so-
north side, there won't be any chain
Okay,
link.
right,
I think there was a...
It's street.
What happened was, the surveyor, they didn't have a survey. So when I got on board, I asked them to get a survey done, and then surveyor went out there and surveyed
Everything.
existing as it is. So that was a construction chain link fence. So
Got it.
if there was one, I apologize, I thought you were talking about on the south side, which I don't
The street.
remember seeing one.
Yeah.
But no, the street, there won't be any change.
Gotcha, okay.
Great.
All right. I don't have any other questions. Anything else? All right.
What's
Thank you.
the storage unit thing?
Mr.
The storage units are required per unit, the cubic, I think it's 9 cubic square
Is it sitting
feet.
high so cars can go under? Is that the idea?
I don't know if you have actually, yes, there is. The top left on the sheet A4.0 top, what I've done is I've created posts, and then basically it's an outdoor, and so the cars can go in, and then I put some horizontal planks on the bottom, and then the car can tuck in, and then the top, and then it has this kind of an eyebrow.
It's like the ones you would see on an underground.
But it's like a freestanding wooden post and beam, kind of work with the architecture of the...
Okay.
So it's an outdoor storage now. I don't know how much it's going to last based on the maintenance, but...
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't have any cards, I believe, on this project. Was there anybody who had a comment? If not, you need to fill out a card, please. You know, I'm sorry,
sorry.
we can't have a cross communication.
Yes.
If you'd like to speak, please come on up.
Number
and-
2. Yeah, currently we are on the Riverdale project. So are these comments addressed to the Riverdale project?
All right.
Okay,
if
so
you-
we ask that you completely fill out one of the speaker cards, and we'll call you up.
you know,
Yes,
Yes.
unfortunately, you would have to
you
fill
know
it
what?
out.
Why don't you come on up and talk, and we'll let you fill it out when you're done. We'll keep it moving here. Okay.
Great, thank you.
But fill it out, and then you want to give it to us when you're done. And please state your name and for the
Yeah,
record.
My name is Edward Wolf, and I live in Glendale. And I was just curious how many, it's so like 500 square feet, and presumably a statement was made about 200 of it is livable, so I'm wondering, is this like a single apartment or a one-bedroom apartment? Something's been mentioned about that, I'm just curious.
They're studios.
They're studios, okay, they're on the small side.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if you'll fill out a card for us, too, please. Right, ma'am? That's okay. I'll take that from you when you're...
Okay. I'm a neighbor living across the street.
State your
from-
name for
Oh,
us,
my name
please.
is Beverly Cheeseboro.
Thank you.
I'm a neighbor living across the street in an apartment building across the street from this 342 Riverdale Drive building. And I noticed that there is no parking currently for whoever would be living in the front building, which I believe has 5 units in it. And I'm wondering if there will be parking made available for any tenants that are going to be living in both the front building and the rear building. There will be 9 potential cars, maybe 18 cars. Where are they supposed to park? Riverdale Drive currently is very crowded with parking. There are a number of apartment buildings on that street. There's not enough parking as it is. The street becomes completely full with cars. Is there going to be any provision for parking with this project for the tenants on site?
Thank you. Mr. Rizzo, do you want to address that?
Yes, currently, well, the existing lot had 0 parking spaces, as you were aware of. The applicant was required to provide 5 parking spaces for the proposed 4 units only, and not required to bring parking up to code for the entire lot.
Okay, so there will be 5 spaces for the rear proposed 4 units.
Correct.
And no spaces for the front, but there were never going to be any spaces for the front anyway.
Correct. There was never any spaces, nor did they enlarge the existing 5 units to trigger more parking. So they let that be.
That's grandfathered in.
And it's grandfathered in,
Okay.
and then only 5 spaces will be provided.
All right, that was my concern as a neighbor. Otherwise, I'm happy to see it's beautifully done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's our concern, too. I mean, that South Glendale has a parking issue on that street, too. So, thank you for coming. I appreciate your time. We'll take that from you.
Let me
Are you-
finish filming.
Yes. And
Okay.
as I was just
Says 7.
made aware of by the applicant, it is a total of 5 parking spaces available on site. 4 of those are strictly for the 4 units that are to be built, 1 car space for each unit. And then, as required by code, there's a quarter guest space per unit. So that additional 5th parking space is actually for guest parking. Yes.
Our plan says 7.
They're accessible?
You know what? That's the old plan.
The old.
Oh, okay.
There's a little one in here that actually, because they put the
Okay.
yeah, the laundry took up some of it. Yeah, right.
So.
Confused us too. Didn't it? All right.
So then is the accessible just part-time, or what does that work?
Right. You have a question? Mr. Yu? Did you
There's 5 total, including the accessible stall, right?
Yeah.
So 4 for the tenants and 1 for visitor,
Correct.
but it can only be a person that has a handicap placard, or?
That is something
How does that
is
work?
that is something that's being discussed with the building department and the police department, because you're right. I mean, it's handicap accessible. If anyone does have obviously a handicap placard, they have first come first serve. You know, they have the priority to use that spot. But I believe that they will not ticket that person if they're parking there when no one else is using it.
I see. Okay.
How would they know?
That is a good
Trust me.
question.
You ever seen them drive in the back?
We'll leave it
All
at
right.
that.
We'll leave it at that. Any other questions? Or Mr. Malikian, do you have anything else that you would like to add before I close the hearing? Okay. All right. All right. I'll close the public.
Mr. Chair, I have one question for Mr. Malikian.
Okay.
Regarding the pavement, the driveway pavement.
Right.
Whether it's going to be decorative or all.
Well, the front, we're not proposing anything in the front. Everything is there existing, so we're going to keep it the way it is. In the back, decorative, probably I'll figure out a way to cut the cost by doing some score joints or some other things that will give some variation, but I don't think they would have the budget to get into stamped concrete or, colored concrete or anything. It would be probably more of a minimal concrete work with some score joints or some other decorative features that I can add, maybe even a exposed aggregate or something there that will give some character to it.
So what's on the landscape plan is not correct.
I would probably say no.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Palmer, you want to start at your end?
Okay. I have no questions about the design. I think all the questions, I think fits well into the neighborhood with the front building. I think the questions have been answered regarding the parking and everything else. I know there was a comment from staff about changing the tree variety from what's shown on the plan to a jacaranda. I would not recommend that, just because it's a messy tree, and leave what's on the plan. So I have no other issues.
Okay. Mr. Yu?
That comment that staff made, I think it was for a different
Other project.
project.
I think you're on there, yeah. I wasn't going to call her on it, though.
They can have what they want here. Then.
All right. Mr. Yu?
I'll bring it up again.
But you may want to comment on the removal of the trees, perhaps.
I think it's a wise idea to remove the 2 trees in the front.
Thank you.
I too oppose the jacaranda tree. No, I think the packet is pretty well put together. All the information that we needed was there. I think the 4 units are done in a way that it makes a lot of sense, and it provides a lot of space. I think that middle parking area is going to be a lot of stuff going on in there, but I know you have to get it all in there, so I think it's well done, and I'm ready to approve it.
I, too, support the project. It's always difficult to put a narrow lot the kind of design, but I think the design is done well. The size and proportion overall is good. Good material features, even though you're restricted with a very tight budget. I think that shows that you can put in a variety of materials, be interesting, and not blow a budget. So this is a good example of good design. The scale is fine. I like the porches in the front, a nice little private common area for people to really enjoy. The common area is very well done, and the playground is nice, so that it's a nice place for people to come and live. I'm very ready to support it. Great. All right. I want to compliment Mr. Malikian, the architect. You've definitely improved the street there, at least, though I guess I'm giving you credit maybe you shouldn't be taking. But the front building definitely looks better than it used to, and your project will be an addition to it. I would like to encourage you to consider that the trash units being opened onto the property as opposed to onto the neighbors. And I was a little, the water heater, which we discussed already, but I would be ready to support it also. All right? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with, what was the one thing that they had on?
Window details.
I'll second that.
Would you like us to include Chair Ellis's considerations?
The trash.
Turning the trash container into the property as
Want to make
opposed to the
that a
neighbor.
requirement? Or?
I'll defer to you guys.
I think if he can make it, it's been addressed to him,
Yeah.
so I
Right.
think if he can work it out, fine, but
Put a recommendation on it, yeah.
I think it's a recommendation.
Okay.
So consideration to turn the trash enclosure inward facing rather than facing adjacent properties, and to attempt to provide all plumbing and mechanical equipment indoors rather than on the exterior of the building.
I would restate that to make the trash enclosure more accessible as opposed to, because we don't know if it can be turned around or taken from the end.
So how about consider revising the trash enclosure so that it faces the interior property line while maintaining accessibility?
Something like that. I'll let you word it.
She's such a wordsmith.
Yes.
Reorient away from the neighbor and provide greater accessibility.
There you go.
Very good.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Filia.
So there's a motion on the floor with one consideration and one condition. This will be roll call. Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Yu?
Yes.
Mr. Insua?
Yes.
And Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Motion
There was,
carried.
I apologize for bringing this up. Did you state one condition and one consideration?
Two.
Two considerations,
Two
correct. Okay,
considerations,
just wanted to
correct.
double check. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries for approval 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malikian. All right. Next will be, we'll go back to the top, PDR 2011-012B, 250 South Glendale Avenue. I noticed a number of new people have showed up in the audience. If you'd like to speak, we'd love to hear from you, but please fill out a speaker form and turn it in. That's how we know that you would like to say something. Okay? All right.
Mr. Chair, I would like to request, my applicant is still not here.
The applicant is
It's
not.
still,
Okay.
I'll have to go to the next.
All right. We need to find, I guess, Mr. Dong is his.
Mr. Duong, actually,
He went home.
no, he did not. He definitely did not go home. I'm sure that he's
good.
waiting.
He's watching us now
Actually,
and
I'm
walking
sure if you
towards
don't
the
mind giving
hearing
us-
room.
Perfect.
Exactly. Well, in the meantime, why don't we handle the minutes, if you don't mind?
We can do that. All right.
Okay. We have two sets of minutes. The first set it was back from February the 23rd. The second set was from March the 8th. On February the 23rd, Mr. Insua, Simonian, and Palmer were here.
I move to approve.
Second.
You moved to approve Ms. Palmer, and a second by Board Member Insua. So, Board Member Palmer? Board Member Insua?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. And the motion to approve, if you don't mind, we can just continue quickly, and then we'll
Yes.
let Mr. Duong get ready
Get settled in. Yeah,
for his
let's do the
presentation.
next one.
Would be the minutes from March 8th, and Board Members Ellis, Palmer, and you were present.
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion by Board Member Palmer, a second by Board Member, was that Board Member you who seconded?
Yes.
Board Member Ellis?
Yes.
Board Member Palmer?
Yes.
Board Member Yu?
Yes.
The motion passes to approve the minutes of March the 3rd. Now back to tonight's regular
Why did we
agenda.
slip something in on him?
Making use, we're multitasking, making use of time, so.
All right. Mr. Dunn. You're okay? You ready to go? Yeah. All right. Next up will be PDR 2011-017A, 964 East Glendale Boulevard. And I have a few cards again. If anybody else wants to speak on this, please turn in a card. Mr. Duong.
Thank you. The next item before you was considered by the board on November 10, 2011. And the decision by the board then was to return the project for redesign. And what I have pinned up behind you are the old plans on the left and the right, and the new plans are on the right-hand side. Just as a recap, the applicant is proposing to construct a new house located at 964 East Glen Oaks Avenue. This property is located in the all one-floor area ratio District 2 zone, and it is also in the proposed Rossmoyne Historic District. The subject property, the original residence was built in 1924, and if you recall, originally staff approved an addition to the back, but in the process of carrying out the addition, more than 50% of the original home was removed. Therefore, this project is considered a new construction. So the proposed project consists of a two-story home that is approximately 2,083 square feet, and there's an existing garage in the back as well as an existing guest house. So there were 19 conditions when the board considered this project previously. The applicant attended to those conditions, and I can go over them if you like to see how the applicant has addressed each one, or the board may decide just for staff to go over the new conditions to refine this project further.
Mr. Yu or Ms. Palmer, you want to hear them run down the list, or you?
I've read them all. So.
Yeah, so I think we just,
Okay. Is there anyone that you would like to point out, anything
Well,
in particular?
I'd just like to point out some of the major changes
Okay.
that the applicant pursued. First of all, the front entry has been redesigned. Before, you had this one arch with the detailed shouldered corners, and now you have two arches. The rear elevation also received some design modification. There was a towel element previously. Now that has been eliminated, which is this. And also, the second story elevation along the driveway has been changed as well. The board made comment concerning the massing on this wall and suggested that the second story be cantilevered, so that has been done with wooden corbels underneath. And also the roof pitch has been restudied and changed accordingly. Additionally, there are changes to the fenestration patterns and also changes to the front windows, the fixed picture window.
I do have a question on it.
Okay.
Mr. Duong, on item number 11, I'm going to read it. In number 11 of one of the conditions. Return the garage to its original condition so that two cars may be parked inside. A 20 by 20 clear space on the interior must be available. And then the report from staff says, staff has been unable to verify the status of the garage interior, but a condition can be added so that the garage be restored to its original condition to the DRB approval of the project. Can you help me understand what that means?
Well, what staff meant by that was staff weren't able to verify whether the garage, there were claims or staff were notified that the garage may have been converted to other usable space other than a garage space. However, we weren't able to verify that fact, but this could be made as a condition so that before staff could verify, could sign off on the project if approved, then we would have to actually see the interior of the garage.
Okay.
But we know that the garage was built later and it met code, so it is a two-car garage.
So if I'm understanding correctly, that from what you're saying here is that a condition can be put on this approval that you or someone in planning would have to go physically to the site, look at the garage to make sure that it can house two cars in there.
Correct. And if it has been converted, then that conversion should be restored back to the original.
How would that occur? This is more a question for myself. How would that be achieved? So let's say, for example, everything that we read here, the project's approved with that condition. Okay? What happens? How does that happen? What's the process? I've never...
Well, one way to do this is doing plan check. When the applicant submit plans for plan check, we could have also a note added to the drawing saying that the garage shall be restored back to original condition, and then we would follow up doing inspection. And if the garage has not been restored back to a garage, then we would not sign off on the final DRB approval.
And that would be done regardless of whether or not the DRB provided a condition, because it is a code requirement.
Right.
Sometimes we recommend these kinds of conditions so that everyone here knows that it will be done, and it's an additional reminder to the applicant and to us, frankly, that it needs to be done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And that goes the same for the guest house.
Correct.
That's the same for all code requirements. The conditions that are provided in the DRB reports are really just reminders to the applicants and to staff.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay.
Forgive us, we're speaking in regards to the very last project, which was for 964 East Glen Oaks.
All right. I have a applicant, and I have the architect. Who would like to start? I'll offer that to. All right. This is Ben?
Yes.
You please state your name for the record, sir.
Hi. My name is Ben Sturgill, and I'm representing a project for Oakson Associates Engineering. And as Mr. Dong has indicated, there was several changes of the design was made from the previous time it was here to now, which address some of the board's concerns. And I'm here to answer any of your questions. There was one thing that we would like the board to consider, and that would be in lieu of the two-piece clay tile, to consider possibly using a lightweight concrete S-tile for minimally the accessory structures, as that they were not designed structurally for a heavy tile roof. The front house, we'd be more than willing to use the two-piece on that because it's in the public eye, and it would be more in keeping with the style of architecture. Other than that, I'm here to answer your questions.
Ms. Palmer.
I have a question. I just need some clarification. The staff report states that the roof went from a 4 and 12 to a 5 and 12 pitch, and the plans all show a 4 and 12. So I just like to know which it is.
The 5 and 12, I noticed that also later on. The 5 and 12 is for the portions that is over the two arches. The area over the entry.
Oh, okay. But the rest of it's 4 and 12.
Yes, appears to be the same.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
You or
You may have one. if I'm
I work your way through it? All right. Well,
I see, so the old one was 3 to 12.
Yeah, the old one. Sorry.
it's getting steeper. I'll have that question.
Sure.
You heard the conversation about the garage. Is that something that you could give us some
I'd
elucidation?
rather have the applicant address
Fine,
that.
okay, great, okay.
I have it here.
All right. You're good? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
I have Mr. Babakanian. Hi, please state your name for the record.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Oksan Babakanian, principal of Oksan Associates, structural engineers. As far as the garage goes, there is a 20-foot space for the parking. And as you well aware of, this building was constructed just as we had a permit to build the building for an addition, and they went overboard, and then they condemned it, so they had to leave some place. And meanwhile, I guess they used portion of the garage for their storage and whatever, but they have the 20-foot clearances. That's what the owner is telling me. But there definitely is going to be all cleared when the building is done, and inspectors, they have to, they can come and check everything.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. All right, thank you. Zanku Armenian?
I'm sorry.
Did you-
we can't.
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
can't
You have a.
come up to the
Okay.
microphone. I apologize.
Do you want?
Your
Would you
name?
rather start with Ms. Vartanian?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. We'll start with her.
I think that's what he's asking.
Got you.
I
Please
guess
state
go
your name for the
first.
record.
Yes, my name is Lorna Vartanian. I'm president of the Ross Moines Mountain Homeowners Association. And I'm here today on behalf of our board of directors to support this project. We supported it back in November of 2011. And our board has again reviewed the plans, and we continue to support the project. We support it on the basis of the proposed FAR complies with zoning for this area. We believe the setbacks, the massing, and the scale are consistent with the existing neighborhood. The Spanish colonial revival style design is in keeping with the existing structure that was built in 1924. And we support the project overall for its how it fits into the existing fabric of the neighborhood. And we really would hope that we appreciate the staff's time in trying to get the details proper to produce a very viable and authentic product. On the eve of the designation of our historic district, we would very much like to see this project go through. It's been in tear down probably for about a year and a half now, and we feel it's time for this to be built. Again, we do support the project as proposed. We support the changes that have been made. I only wanted to make one comment when you get to your discussion regarding the back of this house, and I know there was some recommendations from staff regarding lighting on the back. This house does back onto a wash, so you may want to take that into consideration. We thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Armenian.
Thank you for your time. My name is Zanku Armenian. As full disclosure, I'm also president of the Glendale Water and Power Commission, but I'm not here in that capacity. I'm here in the capacity as a member of the board of the Ross Moines Mountain Homeowners Association. I didn't want to repeat what Ms. Vartanian already said, but I did want you to know that several of us from the board have met with the homeowner, have reviewed the plans with him, and feel that as long as everything is in compliance with the code as you see fit, we encourage you to move this project along because at this point it's become an eyesore for quite a long time. And as you know, we are going for historic districting. We feel that this will fit into those sorts of guidelines as well and fit the character of the neighborhood. So appreciate once all conditions are met, obviously, that in a reasonable way we allow the homeowner and the architect and the whoever's going to be building it to move along with the project. And we'll be watching it as a homeowners association closely as well to ensure it sticks to plan. So we are supportive of the homeowner and feel that his intentions are positive and constructive for the neighborhood and are here to support him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Edward Wolf. I'm a homeowner who lives in the area there within about 3 blocks of the site. And I don't know all the past details, but it's been a public eyesore for over a year, and every time I drive by it, I think what's happening? Somebody's abandoned this project or not done what they needed to get it right. When I saw the sign out front a couple of weeks ago about the hearing, that was the first time I realized that this person wanted to build a 2-story home on East Glen Oaks Boulevard, and my concern is that it's out of conformity with the neighborhood there. There are no other 2-story houses on continuous 2 blocks around there, or especially going west of it from Ross Moyne. And I know from what I read in your report, I know there's been consideration of it being around the same height as some of the steeply, I guess the English Tudor style houses, which have higher roofs than some of their neighbors. But I still feel it's out of keeping with the neighborhood, and the amount of square footage that the applicant is requesting is about 2,500 square feet, which is way more than people in that area have. People have usually around 1,600 to 2,000 square feet, generally speaking, from what I can tell from looking at places that have been on the market. So my concern is that it could lead to other people wanting to have 2-story houses nearby as well, and I think it's going to change the appearance of the neighborhood and lead to more people wanting to have 2-story houses. So I thank you for hearing me and your consideration.
Thank you. That was the last card I had. If anybody else wanted to speak, you need to turn in a card. If not, I'm going to close the, I guess, unless the applicant has anything you want to close out with? Anything to, okay.
Actually, the applicant just submitted 3 letters from adjacent property owners, Stephanie Boone, Victor Allaslager, and Amanda Sassoli, who are in favor of the project.
Okay.
So these are submitted for the records.
Okay.
And would you like to speak then? If you would like to speak, why don't you go ahead, state your name and address for the record, and you can fill out the speaker card as soon as you're done.
All right.
I'll have one more comment.
Perhaps after.
Let me let her finish. Hi.
Hello, my name is Ani Ginosian. I'm the daughter of Rui Ginosian. This is our house. Our intentions are positive. As it was stated, we're just trying to build a home for us. I know initially it was a mistake to demolish the entire house, but we're just trying to build a house. I know it's 2-story, but I think it's been reviewed. We've worked very closely with everyone on the board to make sure that everything is in agreement, even though it's 2-story. And I just also wanted to mention we also have our other neighbors who, they don't want to speak, but they're also supporting our project. Thank you.
Thank you. Please fill out a form. Mr. Babakania, did you want to?
A small comment about the 2-story condition.
You'll have to wait till you
Please
get to
at
the
the
microphone.
We're telecasting.
Please listen to me.
The public would like to hear also.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just a small comment about two-story. We tried, or Darners, to make that second story very small, just portion of the building, way in the back, so it almost mimics the existing houses, which are Tudor style, and they're very tall, basically the same height. And some of them, they might have some rooms there, I don't know exactly. That's what the condition was, to get the smallest and way in the back, so it's out of the viewing portion. That's all.
Thank you. All right. With that, I'm going to close the hearing. Mr. Yu, would you like to start this one?
19 items on here that we gave them to fix.
We're down to 14.
I think they did a good job in going through each one. We gave it once around the first time it came through, and I think we have improved the project from what it was before. And so I think the things that they've done, things here and there's still a few items in the back that staff recommends that I also support, and I think that would make it even better. But I think I'm okay with it. So.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All in all, I think it's a vast improvement, and I'm sure the neighborhood and the applicants and everyone associated with the project are eager to get this project going. Sometimes the projects that languish can be sometimes quite a nice story. I just have a couple comments. Item 10 and item 9, we want to, as we discussed previously, make sure that it's part of the conditions of approval. The applicant architect requested at the back projects, which are existing, have lightweight S-tile because the structures originally can't see them that much. I'm comfortable with that. And then my only comment is that I did the sketch of how the steps would work, and my only feeling is that this window, and sometimes I don't get into this nitty-gritty, but you've come so far and it's a good job. My suggestion is to take this window, the stairs on the inside start here, boom, 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 landing, boom, 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 boom. So this window is going to be really way up there. I would suggest to bathe that, two things. One, to bathe that steps with more natural light. You currently have a window there which is 2 by 2. I would suggest taking this window size, more or less, half of it, bringing it over to here, give you a little bit of more natural light in there, and then putting shutters on both sides, and I think that would be a nice little detailing which continues from what we see over here. It looks a little plain. Other than that, I think the project... Oh, and one more thing. I would suggest that this door, whether it be this panel, whatever, match the same color of the other doors and not be this orange color. It seems out of place. Other than that, I'm supportive of them. And maybe the garage, they may want to also paint the garage door to the same match of those things.
At the last meeting, were you here at the last meeting for this?
I don't think
I remember this. That window was big, and everybody kind of... So I'm empathizing with you folks.
Never mind.
But the idea of more light in the stairwell, there may be a way to do that, narrow and taller.
My thinking would maybe make it 3 by 3.5, 30 by 42, something that gives it a little more scale.
I could just feel them cringing as you...
I wasn't here. Who thought that you would have needed me back then?
There you go. Ms. Palmer.
I agree with staff's comments. I think that it's a great improvement on the design. I agree with Mr. Insua that garage door and the front door need to be more compatible color-wise, or change the material but keep the colors compatible. And I definitely think we need to have a landscape plan for this particular project.
This one posted on the bottom. A new one wasn't provided. I'm sorry.
I didn't have one.
We didn't get it in the packet, was there?
Yeah, that was provided originally in the first go-around.
The first go-around?
Yes.
Okay. All right, okay. I'll let Ms. Palmer take a look at that. Have her reserve a comment if she'd like one. I, too, would like to compliment the applicant and the architect. The project has definitely moved much closer to what we had hoped it to have been when you first got here, so thank you for that. It's always hard when something is a project that you love or you're under some severe issues to hear and to respond like you did. So I really want to encourage and thank you for that. I'm pretty much okay with the project with the comments that staff and my colleagues have made. It's going to definitely improve that neighbor. The issue of height, and I'm sorry that Mr. Wolf, who came and mentioned that, wasn't here at the last meeting, where I think we discussed that and looked at the neighborhood and felt at that time that the second story could be done appropriately. Ms. Palmer, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I'm just looking, again, we've got some discrepancy between the driveway issues, so I don't know if the plan has a concrete drive, the landscape plan shows a...
That's one of their conditions was a permeable paving driveway, and so that
I'm just
plan
saying-
may be closer to what they're thinking. Yeah.
Just make it consistent.
Okay. All right. Anybody would like to make a motion?
Before you do that, I just like to get some clarification.
Okay.
About the tile roof. Are you okay with the lightweight tile as opposed to the recommended condition for two-piece U-shaped barrel tiles for
On
the
the
house?
existing structures,
On,
which was what the request was on the existing structure.
also, therefore, it's for the garage and the guest house.
Correct.
But the main house should be two-piece barrel U-shaped tile.
And the architect is nodding, yes.
Okay. And also, just to clarify your condition, Mr. Nsua and Ms. Palmer, you stated that the garage door should be painted, and that is to match the color of the window trim?
Just something dark enough to,
Okay, a dark color, okay.
door and the garage door.
And
I would, yeah, I think the front door, as you're saying, and the garage door should at least match whatever overall color they're choosing for the door. So if they, as you notice, these doors, these windows, these shutters, whatever they choose for that, they should match both those things.
okay.
Is there a preference for the shutter color, or it's just that they all need to be the same color, whatever they choose of those three colors? Okay. That's helpful.
And then condition number 14 that was proposed by staff is a consideration. So that should be a condition now, if the board so chooses, instead of consideration, which states consider providing permeable paving for the driveway.
Is that not a code requirement? I thought it's not
It
yet.
has to be decorative,
Decorative, okay.
unless you're under an oak tree or something.
Under an oak tree, okay.
So then that would not be a consideration.
Yeah,
I think it's consideration, but I don't think it needs to be a condition. It could be a decorative concrete, it could be something else.
Yeah, just to clarify, the decorative paving on the driveway is a code condition for aesthetics. What we've heard from the board and what we try to promote is a permeable pavement as much as possible on the site to encourage sustainability, and that's the board's choice, project by project.
The landscape plan proposes like a Hollywood Drive with a grass strip down the middle, and they do have the grass in the front. I think it would complement that whole neighborhood, so if we wanted to propose that.
Well, if that's proposed, we can make it a condition of approval so that we know as the project moves forward that that's the preference and it shouldn't be modified.
It will be a Hollywood driveway. Okay, is there a motion?
Do we,
This item, forgive me, Chairman.
no, jump right in. Those are on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 and 11 are the...
11B.
Actually, they're now 1 and 2 on the newest ones, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got the 14 conditions with condition 14 modified to be a Hollywood driveway, and condition 11 would be modified to allow lightweight S-tile on the garage and guest house, and an additional condition regarding the color of the shutters, garage door, and front door to be the same color. There was also mention by board member Nsua about the window shown at the stair on the second floor to be lowered with shutters added. Is that a addition you'd like to add or a consideration? Not include?
In light of what Chair has said, I think it may be inappropriate, since I wasn't here to ask, if, you know what I mean?
Okay, so we'll have the conditions be silent on that point, and that window would then stay as it's shown? Okay. I just wanted to double check.
So I'm clear, when these conditions are met, if we approve this today, is that final design report approval?
Yes.
Because condition 1 says that the kitchen be removed from the guest house prior to obtaining the design review board.
What I meant by that, Ms. Palmer, is that prior to the final DRB approval, meaning inspection. Yes.
Yeah, you may
maybe the
wanna-
word inspection. Yes, I know.
wanna-
Yeah.
We may want to change that. Typically, we say issuance of building permits.
It's unclear.
Yeah, so that's fine. And yes, these are all conditions. Typically, these are conditions that are then checked prior to building permits. That's our practice.
Okay, Mr. Duong indicated that, give me just for clarification and discussion of clarification, Mr. Duong made a statement earlier that prior to the final sign-off, post-issuance of permit, meaning, they build it now for when you guys go out to sign that off, that would be the time that you affirm and confirm that,
Right.
not
And-
prior to issuance of building permit.
Well, that's correct. What we do here is make conditions for our sign-off for plan check to go into the building department for their review and permitting. Then for us to confirm that everything is per code to the field, that is our inspection practice. That's what we typically do. Because at that point, once the building permit is issued, in practicality, staff is no longer referring to the DRB conditions or record of decision because all of that's been included prior to permit issuance. That inspection is something that we regularly do before certificate of occupancy.
Okay. But what he said is different than what you said. So which way is it going to occur?
It's actually going to occur both ways, because basically they can't go into plan check unless the plans meet the code, which requires that the garage be 20 by 20. Then at the end, before there's a final design review board inspection sign-off, he has to verify in the field that what shown on the plans that went into plan check is actually out there with a 20 by 20 foot interior clearance.
But we have a marriage.
Correct.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Duong, you're done through your
Yes.
conditions? Okay.
Then I would move to approve based on the conditions.
With the conditions. Okay, second to project. And there's a second.
So there was a motion by Ms. Palmer and a second by Mr. Nsua. This will be roll call. Mr. Yu,
Yes.
Ms. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Nsua,
Yes.
and Chairman Ellis.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 to approve the project with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with your project. You're going to enjoy it once you're in it. All right. Well, I'm just a volunteer,
They're
so
in
I would
charge.
just go to those two people. Staff is always in charge.
It's the lady with the brown hair.
For the record, not really.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I'm speaking for
And-
Okay.
We have one more project,
Okay.
too. All right. Give that to Robin. All right.
There's going to be another hearing now. So if I'll speak to you as soon as we begin the next case. I'll be more than happy to speak to you outside. All right?
All right.
Yeah. There you go.
Next up is, hey, sign this one. Case number PDR 2011-012B, 250 South Glendale Avenue. Mr. Riza, you're back up, sir. And your applicant is here?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. You guys would have been out at 5 if you'd been here at 5. Actually, another 10 minutes, you'd have been here in 2 weeks from now. So,
microphone on? That's what. Sorry.
It's okay. Mr. Chair, members of the Design Review Board, this case number is case number 1-PDR-2011-012, located at 250 South Glendale Avenue. The last time the board heard this project was on June 30th, 2011. The project was deemed a return for redesign with 10 conditions. On to the project summary. The project involves the development of a new 3,000 square foot, one-story automobile dealership. The lot size is approximately 15,310 square feet, and 23 parking spaces will be provided. There are no active building permits for this property, and currently this site is obviously vacant as it is on a prominent corner within the city located on the intersection of Glendale Boulevard and Colorado Street. Staff feels that all 10 conditions have been met. The plans have been posted on the board. The old plans that the Design Review Board reviewed on July 30th is right here on this side. The new proposed plans that address all staff conditions and comments and the board's comments are located to the right. Details have been incorporated for the type of Rain-A-Bond cladding that will be used throughout. I have a material board that shows the sample, and also details cut to specific points throughout the building to show how all of those connections will work. Also, the applicant provided more additional details from the manufacturer of the Rain-A-Bond product that will be used. All in all, this project feels that staff feels comfortable in recommending approval with all the conditions, as well as two additional conditions, which I will read into the record. That proper execution for this project is very important, and any significant modifications to the design details may require the Design Review Board approval once again. And the second condition is regarding the jacaranda tree. The jacaranda tree is a street tree planted throughout South Glendale. Staff felt that a jacaranda tree would be complementary just to the streetscape on Glendale Boulevard. However, when we mentioned this to the landscape architect, he did refuse, and I understand why now. Overall, the applicant is in the audience, and that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions for the board at this time.
Thank you. Anybody have a question? All right. I don't have any cards. If the applicant would like to speak on this, if you can come on up, turn a card in when you're done, but please come on up and state your name for the record. It's a white form, looks like that. But we'll get you started. There you go. You missed that part.
Good evening.
Please state your name, sir.
My name is Garen Adamian. I am the engineer on this project, and I would like to thank the board for all the efforts that they put for my project, and just gonna say that after all these 10 comments were completed, my project looks much better and much complete, and I would like to thank you for that. And as Gabriel Teresa mentioned, we prepared structural plans, we prepared structural details. The attachment of the Rain-A-Bond cladding was also addressed. We went to several meetings with the manufacturer and the installers. We have contacted one of the best glass installer company, Walters & Wolff, and made a contract with them so that they are going to do the work for our project. You know, as of right now, they're doing the LAX project, and they did the area in Las Vegas. So you know, there is no competition for them, and I'm very proud to announce that. And we have our legal team is already making contacts with several subcontractors who are going to build my project. And the developers are already allocated enough funds, enough to start and finish our project. And if the board approves my project today, very soon we are going to have a jewel there. I would like to apologize also for being late. I was waiting for a model, a 3D model to arrive. And if you are interested, I can show that to you. It's very interesting to see all the proportions and everything.
Great.
May I?
All right.
That is a 100% representation of what is going to be there. Of course, the voids are the glass portion of the design. Well, thank you.
All right. Any big questions for?
Yeah, I have some questions.
Okay.
They have a question.
Hang on 1 second, sir.
The roof material, what is, this is deck roofing, what is?
The deck roofing is going to be one of the resin materials, and it's going to be in that in the canopy portion,
Right
the
here,
front, right there, and that's the round part and that part. Other than that, everything else is going to be also rainable.
So it's just a one-piece roof material.
At that,
I know where it's
section,
going. What is the material? I'm trying to.
I don't have the exact manufacturer's name, but it's going to be a decking, a resinous roof decking material.
Okay. And the drains, I see you have 4 in the top and everything.
With an internal drainage system, the water will be drained down to the ground surface.
I don't know where, but okay. Can you humor me and just kind of walk me through how the program works in your space, or what you have planned?
The program?
Yeah. How do you use your space? What is? I see that you have cars inside, sales office.
You want to come over? There's a pointer here. You can join us. Grab the pointer there. And
after it's built, how are they using it? What are they going to do, and what? Are there cars in there for showroom, right?
Yes.
Where would the cars be?
There will be here, 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 and here. The doors the gates that are going, they're large enough to let the cars in are here.
Okay.
So
how would they get to that? Okay.
Pushed inside here, and then the sales representatives will be in an open space here. They will have their desks, and in the middle there will be a small cafeteria, like an espresso bar or something like that.
So car size 10 by 20. So the car is about this big then.
Right. A pickup truck would be
10 by
about
18 is about this big, right? So you're coming through here, parks here, park here, park here, park here. Is that? And they're just showroom cars, and they're not to be driven or test driven or.
Exactly. This is going to be this is not a brand name dealership. There will be probably 1 or 2 exponents, very expensive cars, luxury cars inside the showroom. We will also utilize this area of the parking to have.
So to test drive them, you kind of have to get all the cars out, get back in, and all of that stuff. Then, like.
No.
How would you get the car out then?
you'd buy it.
You
Don't drive that
Well, you know,
If you have to ask the price, you can't afford it, right?
if you have the insurance, then you can buy it. Yes. I suppose there will be a very expensive car inside that
I
showroom.
think you'd want to drive it if it's that expensive. Okay.
Well, and I would like to add, thank you for your comment. I would like to add that this building is designed in such a way, we were very thoughtful of the fact that it might, this will last decades here, and it's not necessary that it's going to be a car dealership all these years, but anytime the owners of this property will desire to change it, convert it to anything else, it will be a great restaurant here, it will be a great bank, financial office, a business office, anything that you might think of.
There was one note about permeable paving, right? Is that
right?
And I didn't notice that that indicated with your Decorative concretes.
Number two, previous, yeah, this is going to be at the parking area, wherever we park cars, so that, for, the driveways are going to be concrete asphalt, and this area is going to be the decorative stamped
I
concrete.
got it, okay. Got it, okay. All right.
And one of your comments regarding enlarging the window size or the glass size,
Right.
can you go over that? I didn't see how it was enlarged.
This is the old plan,
Right?
and in the old plan, these are all solid. And we
Oh,
only have the
just
door
that
opening.
corner then. Okay.
And then here, we have almost everything is glass.
Everything else is the same. Then.
Everything else is, if it's, want to check that three-dimensional model, you will see how much openings we have.
Right. Well, it sort of confirms what I was saying. I mean, you're driving down the street at 20, 30 miles an hour, and all you're going to see is these bars and not the cars that are there.
Exactly, and I don't think that our intention is to make it so transparent that people, the drivers driving 20, 30 miles will see inside. Rather not, not to create any.
Rather not, okay.
So for this entire space, you can get 3 cars in there?
I can
Yeah, 3 cars.
easily, we played with the design, I can easily fit 5 cars in there. It's not,
Where would you fit 5? You've got the area for the desks and things.
No, starting from here all the way to here, in fact, I negotiated with Fiat representatives, and I had to.
Maybe
6
5
of those, right?
They were very
10 smart
interested.
cars.
I mean, it would become a Fiat dealership, except that they wanted to stay on Brand Boulevard, and they already had their contract signed with the space that they're going to open very soon. Otherwise, I'm saying.
I just bring it up because you've got this huge space, and you're going to be limited to, you can't use just all small cars, you're going to be limited to 3 cars basically to show them off because you need space around them.
Well, I've seen used car dealerships in West Los Angeles, Beverly Hills. Everywhere you go, you only have 1 or 2 exotic cars inside the showroom. That's probably good enough for the business. I'm not a specialist, but and I'm not planning. I'm not planning
We're
to
not the
discuss
business people.
exactly. I mean, are we discussing the operational of
the reason
used
we're
car
discussing it
dealership
is
or
because
not?
we don't want to not give our input now and have it fail because the design of the inside is.
Well, I'm
not working,
proposing.
but
I'm
that's
proposing a
up to
commercial
you.
building, 3,000 square feet, in a very prominent corner in Glendale, and I'm not proposing a used car dealership to stay there forever. And some years later, it will be useful only for the used car dealership. I hope that this will be useful for anything, like I mentioned. It will become a restaurant.
Okay.
Like in the future, it will become an office. And in fact, if this was a restaurant, imagine how much outdoor space we would have. Instead of this outdoor showroom, this would be outside seating area, the patio, and enough parking to accommodate for
But
a
you had
nice restaurant.
proposed this for a car dealership.
Yes, I did.
So I understand if it could be something else, but you're coming to us for
Well,
a
now-
car dealer. So we're just giving you our ideas that to get 3 cars in there might not be the best.
I would like to note one more thing, and please do not ask me about the business anymore. But nowadays, all the sales business is happening online. There are car dealerships that are they're in the high-rise downtown LA, sitting in the office and doing transactions, car sales, and the car is parked inside an underground parking structure. But still, this business is blooming right now. It's not the old times now where you really need to have a huge car lot. You really need to have a huge space for showing your cars. Look at the Fiat. They're opening a small dealership on Brand Boulevard. They can only probably fit 1 of their smaller cars inside that showroom that they
They only
have.
have 1 model. I mean, that's all they have. Okay.
Great. Any other questions for me?
No.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. I'll take your card. No, I'm his. Thank you. Thanks. Hi. Good evening. Mr. Ackerman?
Speaking.
You're up. You're up, sir.
My name's John Ackerman. I'm here as a representative of the owner. Primarily, I'm a property manager for the Black Company. And I can say a lot of things in reference to this individual project. My background for the last 30 years has been as a commercial real estate appraiser, most all the financial institutions looking at assets throughout Southern California. Regardless of whether this is a automotive building, the building I see is appropriate for the corner. It's very attractive. This has been an important corner to the owner. Glendale, Colorado, it's pretty easy to just, cite that intersection. It's well known throughout Southern California. It's prominent. I see the building as attractive. I see the boutique automotive industry being able to utilize a building like this. The applicant is our tenant, leasing the site, and I'm glad the City of Glendale's kept a close eye on the project to give the tenant your input so that it meets, more the requirements of the city. I like it. I'd like to see it go forward. We've had the property, I'll just say, for 60 years. I've managed the asset for 25, perhaps. I anticipate managing it for another 25. And I see that building, foreseeable future, being appropriate use for the site as an automotive dealership for as long as possible. And if we have to put it to a reuse, I see it's a beautiful building, still appropriate for site. That's the extent of my comments.
Thank you, sir. All right. I have no other comment cards. If there's anybody else who'd like to speak. If not, close the hearing. All right. I guess, is it your turn this time?
I'll begin, whether it is or isn't.
No, I'm trying to spread the grief.
No. I think the form is good, the scale is appropriate, and it's interesting. I see that this is a very prominent corner, obviously, and interesting enough, as we continue down Glendale Avenue towards this building, it's kind of sort of like a beginning of something interesting going down the road. This is going to be an interesting building. I'm comfortable with it. So, there it is.
You?
We've given it the once-over. Gave our comments. I think it's fine. I think actually it lost some of it when you lowered the roof portion here, because we had the whole upper deck that you were considering before, and the whole accessible up there. Because you look at your renderings and you never even see the top of it. All you see is this corner here. So if you wanted to still maintain sort of that design, the whole Staples Center design at the top, then I think you might want to consider maybe going a little higher so you see part of it as you're going through. Maybe utilize it to get some clear story windows up there to get some more light into the middle, but purely suggestions, nothing more.
Did you happen to see this new drawing that he put up?
Well, this was the before.
Oh, is that the before?
Yeah, and so you can see how
okay.
you can see the prominence of where the circle starts and where it sort of radiates out of.
Yeah.
Well, you look at this and it's not there.
Yeah,
so you might as well not even do it. I mean, you don't really see it unless you're looking at it from a helicopter. So.
Well, or if you're in the parking lot looking back at that.
Barely, though, even.
Yeah.
So.
I think that was a good comment. Yeah. We've gone over this whole thing. I think it's a good job. I'm going to comment. Can I comment on the tree now?
Given that it's this project, why not?
Kill the tree.
It's a street tree, though. It's a city tree.
No, I don't think it should be a jacaranda. And especially if they've got cars parked underneath it. And the sidewalk.
It's going to drop those.
I like jacarandas, but in the right location. I'm just going to comment on because this is a crisp, clear, clean building. The perimeter landscape in the rear is going to be messy all the time. So I would consider them changing the shrub material from Dagonia, which is the hop seed bush, to something a little cleaner like pittosporum silver sheen, which will give a little more variation in color. And they have a ficus vine on the wall. That's a big 2-story wall. That ficus vine is going to get hanging and pulling off, and it's a much darker green. If they change that to the Boston ivy, which is the only other one that will stick on the wall, it will become deciduous. It'll be orange, it'll be yellow, it'll be green. It'll clean itself off. When it's deciduous, it'll have a big pattern on the wall. So that might be a better choice. And I think that's the only comments I have.
Okay, thank you. I would like to agree with my colleagues. It's a very striking-looking project. I wasn't here the last time you looked at it, but I could certainly support it. It's definitely an improvement over the vacant lot. There was a brief conversation that I had with staff earlier concerning the Reno bond, to offer the opportunity that if once they get into design or into actual construction and costing it out, of the ability to maybe do some smooth trowel plaster as a substitute for some of that spot. I'll look at my colleagues and see what you guys think. Is that a...
Well, they'll jump at that. I mean, this is an expensive product versus the other.
What I was kind of hoping to try to avoid is when they discover it's a very expensive product, as opposed to having them come back through design review, because we only approved it with that, to give them a little flexibility. I mean, I'm the kid in the block, so I'll look to the adults here.
It would definitely lose some of the luster, though. I mean, it would.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's sort of like a shining piece, but.
Okay, so that, okay. All right.
So what we're hearing is no substitutions of material, finished material would be acceptable down the road. Okay.
Unless they raise that center portion. Oh, seriously.
We're bargaining with them.
If they did that, that material would be different than what they're proposing there.
That's true.
I think that center portion is now proposed as the Rainabond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of it is proposed as the Rainabond.
Here's the, I'm sorry.
So
just didn't get
I
that.
guess, and this was not Mr. Ellis's suggestion, but I'm going to own up to it. It was my suggestion that sometimes
cover
we
you,
do
too.
find that there are expensive items proposed that when applicants come back to us, we're put in a little bit of a bind, because if the board did not opine on that particular change, we don't want to take something back to the board once it's, say, in plan check or in construction. So it's useful for us to know, for example, if I'm going to use a very technical term, the jiggy-jaggy walls around those glass pieces also need to be Rainabond or Alucabond, rather than having those changed to plaster, which is just something that, in looking at it, seemed a possibility. If the board does not think that's appropriate, that's important information for staff to have, so as we go forward and the applicant knows what's expected of them.
Can I add?
Yes, sir.
I think that the ziggy-zaggy portions of them, the use of that material, they're wrapping all the way to the roof portion. And if that gets changed out to a plaster, then that sloping is going to have to be very different. It's a different detail. And the cracking and all of that.
The cap will be different,
Yeah,
too.
and so you would see a trim
Galvanized.
piece on top. So I think if it was sort of a stand-alone portion that could be transferred just into a stucco, some smooth trowel, I think it would make sense. It would be okay, but maybe in that portion is not the right location. But.
All right, good. Okay. Mr. Rizzo, you want to go through the whatever conditions that you have?
Okay, I have a couple of conditions I could check with Ms. Palmer on regarding the botanical names for the
green
stuff. Yes.
I'll write them down.
Oh, thank you.
The squiggly white green stuff?
I have, but overall, I have two conditions to change two species of plants.
Boston
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. Aside from that, to eliminate the jacaranda condition, which staff proposed, but to still keep the other staff condition of proper execution. Is that still condition number one?
Would that be changed to no substitutions of finished materials?
I think that's hard, because we don't know what they're going to be substituting or what not,
I think it should be silent and just, that's what's been approved, and
Yeah, that's what they came with, and
Sword at the counter.
And as a consideration to raise the central cylindrical portion and include clear story windows.
it's a recommendation. It's
As
up
a
to them.
consideration?
It's a suggestion, yeah.
One last item. There were some questions, I think, on the paving.
He answered that for me.
Okay, and that meets with the board's approval as proposed?
I have no issue with it.
Excellent, thank you.
All right. Care to entertain a motion? Has there been a motion?
No. There hasn't been a
there
motion,
hasn't been a
correct.
motion.
No.
All right. How late do you guys want to stay today?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the project with all the conditions.
Okay. I will second. A motion and a second. And a discussion on greenery. Moved, seconded.
Moved, okay, yes. Second by motion by Mr. Yu, second by Mr. Insua?
Yes.
Okay. This will be roll call. Mr. Yu?
Yes.
Mr. Insua?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. We're looking forward to seeing your project completed, sir.
very good work, excellent work.
Hey, is this some kind of a pattern, one of those machines?
Yeah, it's built up.
Yeah, it's built up. I don't know.
It's like a laser machine.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Prints three-dimensional. Cool. We have done our minutes.
We've done our minutes.
The only thing left on here is
I'll move to.
move to. All right. Thank you. I guess we're adjourned.
So move to adjourn?
That was it.